Okay.
Holly, what's the fiscal year?
I don't want to miss anything.
Yeah.
Good morning. It's Wednesday, June 12th, 2024, 9:30 a.m. Welcome to the monthly meeting of the Shrewsbury Council on Aging. This board adheres to the open meetings law and follows Robert's Rules of Order. The meetings are streamed by the Town of Shrewsbury Cable, and it may be found through the Shrewsbury Town website, although I guess if you're watching, you found it. I'm Alex Roman, chairperson of the board. I'll let everyone here introduce themselves because we have a couple new board members. So Rachel,
Rachel Kleiman-Wexler, board member.
Renee D'Argento, Outreach Coordinator.
Casey Bogan, Assistant Director at COA.
Holly Luke, COA Director.
I'm Jean Campanello, Vice Chair of the Board.
Betsy Zweig, board member. Ruth Scala, new member.
Larry Mayone, board member.
Meena Sharma, board member.
great, and welcome to our two new board members. Okay, we have two sets of minutes to review and accept. Any corrections to the April minutes?
I make a motion to approve the April minutes as recorded.
Second?
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great. And then the May minutes, any corrections to those? Motion to accept?
I would abstain from voting on that as I was absent.
Okay, correct.
Motion to accept.
Second.
Any discussion? I presume none. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. We do not have a Friends representative today, or at least at this point. Financial reports, Holly, and these are the totals that were mailed out.
Right, so this morning, what I'm gonna start with is the total financial report, and I am gonna go over them as close to line by line as I can to assist the new board members. And I hope that you found in the document that I shared with you, you can see that I highlighted the name of the funds, and then I also left little side comments so you could kind of understand what happens out of those lines. So to begin with, on page 1, we start with the general fund. The general fund is the account that is voted at town meeting, and those funds are appropriated through the town. And those are the funds that we use for the following, which I'm about to speak to. So we'll go down to the fourth blue bulleted line item, which says it's 01054104 Council on Aging OPEX. OPEX is the short code for operating fund. Under that, we have utility telephone. Utility telephone is our phones that are throughout the senior center and our work cell phones that we have. Underneath it is hospital medical. Oh, let me go back one thing just so I can explain for both Larry and Ruth. So under utility and telephone, the next column, it says $1,225. That is the amount at the very beginning of the year that we're given for those funds. So for the utility telephone, we start with $1,225. If you go over 4 more columns, you can see that we are in the negative of $251.30. The reason for that is because the cost of the new phones and those funds will be allocated out of a different resource, which we will figure out at the end of FY24. And at that time, that's when I will update the board of where those funds were transferred to. Under unique utility telephone, hospital and medical. Hospital and medical is for our van drivers' physicals. We started with $660. You can see that we will be ending the year with $330. Services not classified. So services not classified is anything that we did not prepare for at the very beginning of this year. It could be the fact that we have to buy or replace new appliances for our kitchen, things of that such. We started with $4,000. We have $1,786.54 remaining. Next line is automotive, and then books, periodicals. We don't have anything for there, so you could see it's zero across the board. Anything, the number that you might see year-to-date actual would have been from years beyond when I got here, but they all carry over. For print, postage, stationery, there's $2,000. You can see that we are down to $0. So we use the $2,000 to assist in the mailing of our monthly newsletter. Underneath that is office supplies, $1,000, and you can see that is also at $0. Car allowance. Car allowance mileage is any time any one of the COA staff utilizes their own cars for work purposes, we then reimburse them for that mileage. And you can see that we started with $1,000 and we are at $586.25. Then we have dues and memberships. So we work with many partners and which require dues and or memberships. We started with $2,085. We are down to $11.64. We don't do travel, so that is not our line. So you can see that we started with $0. And then trainings and conferences is anytime we send any one of our staff members or have in-house training to do conferences or trainings to better their work possibilities. We started with $3,000 and we are down to $0. So our total ending for the general fund operation is $2,389.08. Does anybody have any questions on the general fund?
Very clear, thank you.
You're welcome. So we'll move on to page 2. So we'll go down to where you see the account 11110, Elder Affairs Grant, otherwise known as the Formula Grant. We receive that from the state every year. We receive $14 a senior for anybody that is 60 and over. Right now, our total is at $32,854.86. We actually started the year, so when we receive our formula grant every year, we receive $120,864, and we are allowed to carry over any unused formula grant from the previous year. So one of the things, again, that I want to mention, that I have mentioned to everybody on a one-to-one is Munis, when we put in our invoices and we put in our deposit, Munis also, we also have to account for the accounting team and the treasurer's team to also go into Munis to remove those funds or add those funds. So Munis isn't always real-time updates. That's why I also shared with you all the link to the spreadsheet that Casey and I created that shows the real time. You can go into that spreadsheet at any time during the day, and it is updated anytime that we make any kind of deposits or withdrawals. So that is page 2.
Just a point of clarification.
Mhm.
The revenue from the state for every person over 60, that's based on town population, not number of people that are involved with the senior center.
Right.
or
It
that
is
we
actually-
offer
Yep.
services to.
You're correct. So it is actually on the 2020 census. So however many seniors in 2020 that we had that were 60 and over, we received $14 for those persons. And they are in the process right now to hopefully increasing that to $15, but we won't know. That probably wouldn't happen until FY '26.
Well, it's proposed for the new budget. I don't know if that will get approved, but it should hopefully,
For the FY '25.
yeah.
So if you recall, when we were waiting on the FY '24 to come out, it didn't come out. We weren't actually notified until like October or November. So I always like to play it safe and pretend we're not going to get those funds until we get those funds. But I do agree with you, Jean. Did I answer your question on
Yes.
that?
Yep.
That was exactly the same
Oh,
question.
okay.
What?
I had the
Show
same
the same.
question.
Oh,
Thank you.
So, page 3, gift fund. So the gift fund are the donations that we receive from the community. And our total right now, and I apologize, it doesn't, oh wait, no, I did. The total is on page 4, actually. Is $16,807.40. I just want to remind the board that we have used roughly $20,000 of those funds to help support the Massachusetts Council on Aging grants that we received. We had to take the funds from somewhere, so we were able to take them from the gift fund because it was easier for us to be able to track them out of the gift fund, since we don't use the gift fund unless we're using it for special occasions. So we are expecting to put in the remaining $20,000, hopefully sometime in July, once we receive those reimbursement checks. I just want to go back up to page number 3 for a moment. You'll see that there is a highlighted line for the garden fund. So the garden fund is something that, so we're putting together the patio over at the senior center, and we are going to be making it a sensory garden. Renee has worked diligently along with the Friends members to try to get us some funding, because the total is going to equal up to about $40,000 for everything that we're projecting. And at this time, we have $5,672 in that fund.
Actually, we have more.
To date,
To date, $7,300.
there we go.
Oh, good.
And there you can see, Munis is not real time.
does that include the 5,000 from the Friends?
Yes.
Yeah.
So again, on page 4, revolving fund. So our revolving fund is currently used to pay for our part-time Council on Aging drivers that provide our special trips. We also use the revolving fund to pay for any maintenance costs that come out of our 2 COA vans. That will be changing in FY '25. In FY '25, the revolving account will be used purely for maintenance of the 2 vans, and the salaries will all be going to the general fund. So at this time, the revolving fund is at a balance of $10,366.50.
What did you say the source of the revolving fund is?
So right now, the revolving fund is on any donations that we get for transportation that we might get from the community, but our largest portion comes from a Shrewsbury Housing Authority agreement that we have with them. So we help aid and provide transportation to the housing authority complexes here, and they in turn give us up to $10,000 for each fiscal year. And with that, we provide reporting and documentation on how many clients we serve that live within the Shrewsbury Housing Authority.
Are you guaranteed the 10,000 regardless of what the service is? or
As
is-
long as the agreement stands, yes. Yep.
So this says miscellaneous revenue for COA van, 200,000. Is that because there's carryover from previous years? or-
Yes, so those numbers that you see there are everything since the revolving account was created. Does anybody have any question on either the total financials that we just reviewed, the full financials, or the spreadsheet links that I sent? Hearing none, I think we can move on.
So we look like we're still positive,
We're still positive,
which is nice.
yes.
Okay. Moving on, Director's Report, starting with Outreach.
Okay. Hello, everyone. So we have a number of programs going on, and before I talk about that, I wanted to remind people about some of the benefits programs that are out there that people can contact me on. Regarding SMOC, Southern Middlesex Opportunity Council, where people apply for fuel assistance every year. They're still reviewing the 23 to 24 applications for people who are waiting for their notice that they are awarded some funds, or receive a notice that they have been denied, I can help you overcome that denial if it's a matter of providing additional documents, so contact me on that. The Shrewsbury Resident Assistance Program, that's provided through the ARPA funds, that only runs through the end of November. So residents have the opportunity to apply for those funds if you have, if you need rent or mortgage assistance up to $2,000, or utility assistance up to $1,000. The Selco Assistance Program, you can get $20 off your internet monthly charge. And, you know, these programs, if you have any questions, just contact me about how to qualify for them. The SNAP nutrition program, or food stamps, I'd like to highlight that there are farms now that are open that take SNAP cards, and I'm going to highlight those in the newsletter, and we can also send them out on social media, because if you purchase through those farms that take SNAP, some of them also take the Healthy Incentives Program money, which is actually, you can, if you purchase fruits and vegetables through those farms, you can get up to $40 or more of free fruits and vegetables a month. And I highlighted that in the newsletter as well, if you have any questions. New for the Medicare Savings Program, which helps pay your Part B premium of $170 a month. There are income qualifications, no longer are there asset qualifications. So a lot of people are going to qualify for that, and definitely see me, take a look at the newsletter for those amounts. That could be a big amount of money in your pocket each month. So we have a couple of programs coming up. Coffee with a Cop, it meets the first Monday of the month, but next month is going to be July 8th. We didn't want to hold it on the week of July 4th. And it's going to be at the police station from 9 to 10:30. And Chick-fil-A is actually sponsoring the event, so they're going to be bringing
July
some
8th?
food.
What
Yes.
time?
9 to 10:30.
July 8th.
Yep, so that's
Okay.
going to be pretty
I'm going.
popular. Yeah. Another program, and this came out of our Triad meeting. So Triad is basically, it's a kind of a consortium of members, including Emergency Services, Council on Aging, Health Department, Shrewsbury Youth and Family Services, Elder Services of Worcester area, to develop and implement policies and programs that promote the health and safety of older adults in Shrewsbury. So we have met and talked about, I was working on a home safe program registry that would assist emergency services in finding older adults with Alzheimer's or related dementia who may wander and get lost. And through these conversations, I had a meeting with the fire department and the police department technology people who are handling their computer data systems. And there are two programs that they run. The Community Connect program through the fire department is a program where residents can register their property, and any information about the residents in the property, and important information such as, you know, there's a water shut off or anything like that, so that when they're responding to an emergency situation related to fire, they know where everything is. They know that the occupants, potentially the occupants who may have, you know, physical disabilities or anything like that. You can register that information. We're going to have a program where Adam Towner of the fire department is going to conduct a live demonstration on June 17th, Monday, between 3 and 4 o'clock. So people can learn about that. The police department is working on a citizens at risk form. And, you know, they did take information from residents, but it wasn't really formalized, and I pulled up some forms from other towns. and they're now recreating that form, and it will be online soon, and people will be able to fill that out so that the police have that kind of information. So the difference between the two is the fire department database is related to the property, the police department database is related to a person. The police department will share that information if people register that way with fire. We're in the course of branding the triad, and you have before you, we decided to create a door hanger, and I created it just on the Word document for now as a draft. And that has the, under the mission, the main members who are associated with the triad, the current programs, including File of Life, Coffee with a Cop, our Are You OK program, and Shredding by Appointment. We may add to those. And some information and resources that people can get from police and fire, such as those forms and things on the website. And also some additional information, the Elder Hotline for fraud and scams and identity theft, debt collection. Anyone has a problem with that can contact the Attorney General Elder Hotline, 211 for the Mass State Information and Resources, and other hotlines related to if you're in crisis. So those are what we're working on, and that's going to be finalized soon as well. So we're trying to brand the triad, and we'll be out in the community when we do events, handing out this information, and our partners will have it as well.
Excuse me, Renee. So I don't have all the phone numbers at the senior center memorized. If someone calls the 8640 phone number, who answers?
So that's our volunteer receptionists
Okay.
answer. Yeah.
So they know they're trained to refer to all these, or do they just?
No,
hand
no,
it
they
off
refer
you?
to me, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you are
And-
trained to refer to all.
Clearly, yeah, yeah. No,
Yes.
it's to keep track of all of the, I have so many files in my computer, I have to sometimes look them up. Let's see, what else? Oh, so, the Sensory Garden, you heard that thus far we've raised $7,300, and Maria Smith, she and I designed a sign that shows the level of how many donations we collected thus far. And that will keep on being marked up as we collect more donations. And that sign is at the Beal School, so people can see our progress.
Great.
And also,
Renee, excuse me, in relation to that, the sign at the Beal School as well as the sign in front of the police department, can we use those as advertising for the opportunity to contribute to this fund?
that's a great idea. So I can contact the police chief and ask whether that's something we can.
Because I know the library is doing that.
Okay,
And if we could just get people's awareness in town that there is a fund drive
yep,
for this patio renovation, I think that would be good advertising.
yeah, that's a great idea. I will check that out. And Maria also, so the Friends also did a mailing of about 100 business owners that she's in contact with as well.
Good.
So the police chief controls that sign?
I was told that you have to ask them permission a while back, but I don't know.
It's the town manager,
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh,
I think that's.
okay, all right.
so you should have no trouble getting approval there.
Okay, all right. And the food pantry, so our pantry is being refurbished. The cabinets are on order, the cabinets and countertops. And Steve Whiteley, who was our small home repair volunteer, is going to be installing those once they're received. We're having a grand opening July 16th between 2:30 and 3:30, just to kind of like a ribbon cutting and show people what it's going to look like and the resources we're going to have available and that sort of stuff. We also, so Holly and I are working on the policies and procedures. I envision having potentially satellites at the housing authority, having fridges there, but that's yet to be discussed with the with the director on that. But we want to do more than having people come visit, but reach out into the community and potentially have home-delivered groceries to people who are homebound, that sort of thing. So that's the vision for it.
Could that be incorporated into the Meals on Wheels program?
No, the Meals on Wheels program is established by Elder Services of Worcester, so there is confidence with the applications that they receive. So it's a kind of a fine line of where other food can be distributed. However, one of the things that Renee and I will be incorporating into the policies and procedures are the numerous resources that people can go to beyond that. And all of those will still, all of that information will still be relayed to anybody that receives Meals on Wheels.
Okay.
Yep.
I have one, on the policies and procedures that you're working on, will you give those to the board to review before they're finalized?
So, yeah, so what will happen is we're gonna start with a base, like a base outline, because until the food pantry is established, we won't know where we need to kind of tweak things. So we will send them to the board for review, as well as the town manager's office for final review.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
And lastly, the grief and loss support group that runs the second and fourth Tuesday of the month between 10 and 11:30. We have 2 openings there, so if anybody is experiencing a loss, whether it's a loss, bereaved of a person or any other kind of loss, please contact me if you want to join.
I'm sorry, the openings are for
For the grief and loss support group.
people who are have
Grief.
experienced a grief or in grieving or a loss.
Yes.
Not, are there counselors that they will be connected with?
So
the
this is
group
a peer support group basically facilitated by a volunteer who is a psychologist, but it's not a counseling session. People who, need any kind of mental health support, I often refer people to SYFS for that.
Renee, would you just repeat for me, please, the program that is asking for income rather than assets?
Okay.
Medicare's
Yeah, that's the,
savings program.
yep, that's the Medicare Savings Program.
Okay.
That's through Massachusetts, where your Medicare Part B premium that's taken out of your Social Security, that premium could be paid by the state so that you have the money back in your pocket. It also is linked to the Part D for prescription help as well.
Thank you.
It's more than that. It's also removing all your deductibles and copays. So basically, you don't want to be there, but if you're there, it really helps you financially with healthcare.
Yeah.
But there are criteria for income.
Income.
Just income, no longer assets.
Mhm. Yeah, and they did substantially raise the income limit this year too as well, so, yeah.
Renee, can I go back and do a question about the food pantry?
Sure.
It sounds like it's going to be very extensive if you're able to follow the dream. Is that all going to be done by volunteers?
Myself and volunteers. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, the goal right now is to have 1 volunteer.
All set, Renee?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Departmental goals and the July agenda meeting. Holly, I
Yep.
presume.
So we'll start with the Council on Aging FY25 departmental goals. So this is the second year that the town has implemented departmental goals and staff goals for each town department. And so what happens is I'm responsible for creating two departmental goals for the Council on Aging department, as well as the staff is responsible for creating their own 3 individual, for the full-time staff, 3 individual goals. For our purposes, I'm sharing with you the departmental goals, which I'll go over for those at home also. So our first goal for FY25 is that the COA will create a minimum of 2 student intergenerational volunteer opportunities for community members 18 and under out of the senior center under the supervision of the COA director. These opportunities will be designed to facilitate meaningful engagement between seniors and students. The effectiveness of these programs will be measured by the number of participating student volunteers and their level of sustained involvement, aiming for a minimum of 20 active student volunteers per opportunity by the end of the fiscal year. Also, senior participants will be recorded through My Senior Center, and an increased COA volunteer participation by 20% from FY24 to FY25. Where we are at right now is that we have established a couple of program ideas, one in which we have the first meeting this month on the 25th called the Yahoo Project. So that is the young adults helping out others. So that is yard work both in the spring and the summer, where students would come to a senior's home and provide some simple fall and spring cleanup. The other program that we are also incorporating on the 25th is the umbrella of the Yahoo called the Interage Alliance. So our goal is to incorporate students of the Shrewsbury community into assisting our initiatives in providing more programs, but with the community outreach of the younger generations. And we thought it best that the younger generations be control of those programs. So what we aim to deliver is that those same students will create their own board, such as the COA board, and have their own chair, vice chair, secretary, finance, and they'll all be under the supervision of myself and the rest of my staff. We aim to meet monthly, and again, the goal is for them to perform opportunities for our seniors to engage with students, with whether it be with the Girl Scouts, the Boy Scouts, and whatever other groups there are that I don't know about, but that is where our focus is going to be. So that is our goal number 1 for FY25. Does anybody have any questions on that?
Yeah, how's the word getting out?
So we have been marketing this for approximately 3 months or so. We actually were contacted by 2 high school students that were looking for volunteer opportunities, and it just so happened that was coming at the same time we were just about to launch the Yahoo initiative, the Young Adults Helping Out Others. So we've been lucky that these 2 students have decided to be the ones in charge for the first year of the Interage Alliance and the Yahoo program. So with that said, we're utilizing them to also assist us in marketing throughout the schools. We also use email blasts, and Casey is part of a communication team that works with other of departments that inside Shrewsbury. So whenever one of our departments comes up with something, Casey either shares what we're doing or she shares what other people are doing, and then that way we can kind of all support each other and market it, all of our goals.
Has there been any contact with the guidance counselors or the schools in town?
So we have started with the school superintendent, Jane Lazat, and right now what we really want to do again is work with the students so they can be the liaison between us and the rest of the youth core of Shrewsbury, if you will. So that is a goal that I have for the students to actually do on our behalf.
Okay. And students have to be Shrewsbury residents?
So they have to be Shrewsbury residents. They don't have to go to school in Shrewsbury. They can go to another high school or something like that, but they have to be Shrewsbury residents.
Holly, on the last bullet, increase volunteer participation by 20%, is that focused on the students, or is that focused on volunteers at the senior center and for the council?
Good question. That is focused on the volunteers as a whole. So if we have 100 volunteers, my goal is to have 120 with the students that come. And we will count every student that provides any program for us for the entire fiscal year 25, and we'll make sure that we have their attendance recorded, whether it's through My Senior Center or through a different documentation.
And we could track through My Senior Center hours that they volunteer as well as a head count.
Yes, so sometimes it won't be easy for the students to come in and check in through My Senior Center because many of these activities might happen on a weekend or in the evenings, but that's where the documentation of spreadsheets will come in, and then we can either update the My Senior Center or use the spreadsheets as additional resources.
You have a separate report on the My Senior Center data. Are you going to talk about that
Yep.
somewhere in here?
Yep.
Okay.
So goal number 2, increase user engagement of the Shrewsbury Council on Aging with the Hoop Board kiosk and smart application during FY25. Both the informational kiosk at the Senior Center and the smart app offers accessible platforms for seniors to conveniently obtain information and engage with services. They empower seniors by providing centralized access to resources and events, promoting independence and informed decision-making. Monitor metrics such as the number of posts, comments, likes, and downloads on the Hoopboard platform, comparing them to My Senior Center data, and tracking progress on a monthly basis, while also promoting the use of Hoopboard kiosk and smart application through staff training sessions, quarterly informational sessions for visitors and seniors. So for those who are not aware, we are in the process of attaining a kiosk. It's an information tech kiosk made by the company of Hoopboard, and it will have all of the information that we currently provide to all of you in the newsletters and on social media, and it'll be in one location of the Senior Center. This is in part also, we'll still maintain the written program board that we have when you enter the site of the Senior Center. So it'll come in 2 different formats. It will come in the written, we'll have the newsletter, and it will be through technology. One of the things that we're very excited about is when we did the community survey of our communication standards months back, one of the things that we received high responses to was that people do not have real-time updates for what's happening at the Senior Center, whether it's class cancellations or programs or anything like that. So one of the things when we were looking at this particular ability was that we'll be able to create a Council on Aging application for people's phones, so you can download it, and you'll get real-time updates to your phones. You'll be able to chat with people on a social platform on your phones. So what we're anticipating on doing is reaching those seniors, those working seniors, or even other community members who might have interest in what we're doing, but for one reason or another don't want to come to the Senior Center or can't come to the Senior Center or be part of the Council on Aging Department mission, is to still be able to get those updates at an easier access other than going to the website. So we're looking to have that kiosk in hopefully by the 2nd week of July, and hopefully finally launching it perhaps the beginning of August. So currently Casey and I are working on that application to get those things up and running, and are excited to be able to share those when they're ready. Are there any questions on goal number 2?
I'm a little interested in the implementation. People will be able to download it with an app on their phone.
Yep. Yes.
And how will that person initially get that app done?
So we'll just like we market everything through the newsletter, so it'll be newsletter, email blasts. But one of the things that we're planning on doing is creating opportunities for people to come into the center so we can teach them how to download the app at the same time.
Okay.
And then what focuses that they're interested. So there'll be a fitness app, there'll be program app, there'll be cancellation things. So we'll teach everybody, and we're planning on doing this quarterly or as needed. So we plan on doing that for the first year or any time thereafter when somebody has a question.
Good, thank you.
So you just said there'll be several different apps, but those will be linked through, those will be within, accessed through the main app, I presume?
Yeah, it's one app, but with different links.
Got it.
Yeah.
So you would be able to decide which parts of the sub-apps that you want.
Well, you would click on it, just like any other app that you might be on. So you would, if you're clicking on Pinterest, you might look up food, and somebody else might look up clothing or something like that. So you're gonna be able to control the things that you want. One of the things, again, that we received was people want to know about cancellations, so they're not coming into the senior center when, a program is canceled for whatever reason, and finding those kind of things out. And the other great thing is we'll be able to support our partners also. We'll have a partner link, so if there's something else going on, let's just say there's something going on at Southgate or Benchmark or Elder Services, we'll be able to have a link right to their website, so it'll be easy navigation.
Be nice.
Great.
So moving on, so each year since I've been here, since 2020, the board votes on whether or not to meet in the month of July or to take, the month off from the agenda meeting. So this is a voted opportunity for the board to decide whether or not we will be meeting in July. So I'm gonna put that over to Alex.
I think Raquel
Raquel.
Raquel would like to make a motion.
And I would like to second it. I haven't even heard it yet.
Wow. It's wide open, Raquel.
I would like to make a motion that we will not meet in July.
Second.
The Coalition on Aging.
Any discussion? Lobbying either way? Okay, let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay,
Thank
motion
you.
passes. Enjoy the month of July. Well, at least one morning, anyway.
Yep. So with that said, so since we won't be meeting in July, once Renee and I meet to go over the policy and procedures of the food pantry, I will send those to you, and as I mentioned in the last email, I will BCC all of you. What I would do is just suggest if anybody has any questions or edits, just send them to me directly. I'll provide the feedback. When we meet back in August, I will share everybody's feedback, and then give, if there is a revised procedure, I will give it at that time. Moving on, so,
Is it the second Wednesday of the
second
month?
Wednesday.
Okay, I'll have to move my meeting.
So moving on, the strategic plan. So we've come up with some, we faced a few hurdles about being able to kind of move forward with the strategic plan. So I did meet with Assistant Town Manager Keith Baldinger of Operations just to kind of see what his suggested direction would be for the subcommittee and myself. The subcommittee consisting of both Alex and Raquel. And one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to create a questionnaire, a survey of questionnaires for our vetted people here. So a questionnaire for our community, our senior community, a questionnaire for our partners, a questionnaire for our staff and board, as well as a questionnaire for our town manager's office. So we'll probably come up with 20 questions with either a rating on a scale of 1 to 5, or a multiple choice, or a fill in. So we are planning on meeting for the month of June to kind of go over our preliminary questions that I put together, kind of figure out what works. This way, it just gives us a starting point, and when we receive all of the documentation, so the survey obviously will take a few months for us to compile all of our data and to get it out there. At that time, we'll take the findings, and we'll meet back, we'll report, we'll share it with the town manager's office, and then come up with our next plan B, where to move from there. Any questions on that? Not hearing any.
I have one. I was at the food festival, whenever that just was, a few days ago, up at the soccer fields. And Friday. The fire department had a inflatable house, and outside of it was a sandwich board, and on it was a QR code inviting you to link through to their survey questionnaire for their strategic plan. I don't know if that would be useful. It'd be nice to have some input from people that have come to the center, and also all of our volunteers. I assume staff may include volunteers?
Yes.
Okay. The link through the QR code would, I would assume would cost some money, but do we
No.
have any additional budget for that?
Yeah, no, we actually have access to a QR code generator that doesn't cost us any money. And so one of the things that I was going to discuss with Casey is when we do the strategic plan questionnaire / survey, it will provide the people the opportunity to fill in the questions that are pertinent to them with the ability to fill in anything, because you are all part of the board, but you're also part of the senior community, so you're going to want to answer those questions as well. So none of the questions will be primarily off limits, but we have different target focuses, if that makes sense.
Okay,
So,
questions?
So next is transportation. What I'm gonna ask everybody to do is if you could please go to the FY24 My Senior Center statistics page. I'm gonna go over the graphs or actually, I won't go over all the graphs, but if anybody has any questions on the graphs, at that same time, it talks about the transportation. So one of the things that I do just want to mention about the transportation special trips is that Cynthia and our part-time staff, Pat and Donna, as well as our part-time van drivers, Don and Bob, they've been working very, very hard to be able to provide some special trips out of the senior center, which you don't really do with the WRTA. The WRTA trips are for medical and grocery appointments and work and things like that. So they've been working really, really hard. You're gonna see a fun selection for the month of July, which includes a beach. It includes, different museums, different free outings that are happening in Worcester. Again, they've just been putting in a tremendous amount of work, and the feedback that we've been receiving from the seniors that utilize this has been overwhelming, so it's been great. When something doesn't work or we've had to cancel because we only have less than 2 participants, we remove that option and move on to another alternative for the following month. So it's all trials, and of course, what we're also looking at is to see not only which ones are being well received, but who's going. Is it the same people? Do we need to focus our targets somewhere else also to, bring more engagement? But those are the things that we're looking at. And one of the ways that we're doing it is, again, and I want to give Cynthia, our transportation coordinator, a lot of kudos, because she has been taking the transportation outreach portion to a whole nother level that she wasn't able to do before when we were under the different model. She has been attending to all of the housing authority complexes and providing pizza and flyers and asking them where do they want to go, what's important to them, when's a good time. So again, she's gone above and beyond for the transportation portion of it that she wasn't able to do before, and I just wanted to take that moment to recognize her. And if anybody who's watching at home hasn't looked at any of our special trips, you really should. We've been going to some amazing places. But with that said, so I just want to.
Could I interrupt quickly? And if someone goes on one of those trips, they pay some amount.
So if you look at our senior center newsletter, the only time we ask for a fee is if we're going really out of bounds. So it might be to Boston, to the Encore Casino, or next month we're going to the aquarium, and then we're going to Faneuil Hall. So so we ask for a $10 deposit, so you have to register at the senior center. As long as you go, you get your $10 back. And the reason why we started doing that is because the wear and tear on our vehicles going into Boston and the taking away from another person's spot who might have wanted to go but couldn't go because they were full, there is an opportunity where we had to kind of stop the cancellations. And I'm happy to report that since we've been doing that with the $10 and then refund, and then with the $10, we've only had one person cancel. So it really has been very effective.
And the cost of that, since obviously the $10 doesn't pay for it.
Right.
How is the cost covered?
So, first of all, so when we receive the $10 for anybody that doesn't go, it goes into our revolving account, and that's where we pay for the COA van driver maintenance. There are no costs. So the only costs that we have are we pay the van drivers to go out, that is already been appropriated at the beginning of the year. So there's no cost, there's no additional cost to the COA. There's no cost to the seniors or anybody who's disabled to drive our vans.
So where is the cost covered, the operating cost of the vehicle and the driver?
Revolving account,
Okay.
where we budget at the beginning of the year.
Raquel?
Participants will pay for the admissions to the aquarium.
Yes.
And so on. It's
Yes.
not, we're not covering.
Right, so if that's your question, so we do,
That's separate.
yep, yeah, so everybody who goes on these trips, unless otherwise noted, they pay for their own admission fees or anything that's associated. So when we go to the restaurants, they pay for their own meals.
Okay.
As an expansion of this program, if there can be one, I know some seniors love to travel, and they don't want to do it on their own, but doing it in a group, a special trip to Vermont or even New York, or that might be just something to think about for the future if the program wants to expand.
Right, so one of the things that right now is, so our COA vans, so under the agreement that we have, we're not permitted to travel outside of Massachusetts. However, we do have a lot of affiliations with the senior center that do provide those day travel trips or the weekend travel trips. And that information can be found at the senior center in the brochure caddy. I've reviewed a lot of them, and they're all very well established partners of the community. Many of them work out of both Northborough and Westborough also, so they are reputable, and they're not vastly expensive. So those are the opportunities that are available now for those kind of trips, but in the future, perhaps if we have money to look into those bus trips and things like that, we can certainly do that.
Thank you.
So without me going through all of the graphs, especially since the people at home are unable to see them, are there any questions on any of the statistics that I provided? Anything you want to discuss or anything like that?
Just looking at the attendance by weekday, it seems that Friday is a slow day. Any indication of why that would be?
We're open till noon.
It's a short day.
Okay. That explains it.
Yep, that was an easy one. Next.
I have a
Raquel?
more question. In regards to, I lost it now, transportation statistics, is it accurate that in March through May, it means like 3 months, there were 350 trips?
Yep. So a trip counts as anybody being picked up
Yeah.
and dropped off.
Yeah.
So if we pick you up at your house and then we drop you off, that's 2 trips. So now think about all of the special trips.
Wait a minute. If you get picked up and then you ride and get dropped off, that's not 2 trips. The return would be the second trip.
Right, so that is counted as 2 trips.
The round trip is 2 trips.
Is 2 trips.
Sure,
Yes.
okay.
Yep, so, just exactly what I was just saying about how many special trips we offer. It's 1 to 2 a day, anywhere from 2 to 14 people at a time on the vans. Sometimes we have 2 vans at the same time. So those are all calculated into there.
Okay?
Okay,
It's a
so.
great report, by the way.
Thank you. So that is our end-of-year report. What we'll end up doing for FY '25 is we will do quarterly, and then again with the end report also. So I do like to compare. I do love the competitiveness of ourselves from one year to the next, so that keeps me going. So just moving down, so we're in D, so programs. So last month, we had a fan distribution. And what we did was we purchased 50 oscillating fans from Home Depot. Those funds were utilized out of the formula grant. Those were for Shrewsbury seniors, 60 and over. They were gone in less than 3 hours. It was very well received. As a matter of fact, people are still coming to the senior center to ask if we have any more fans, but we do not have any more fans. So that one was great. A few years ago, we did 50 air conditioners. Those went. In between that, we also did 50 microwaves. We did that one year. So what we try to do is really utilize those formula grant funds for people that really need those. And just so Ruth and Larry knows, when we were doing the microwaves, one of the reasons why we initiated that was because we actually learned that there were many Meals on Wheels recipients who would receive their meals with no way of really being able to heat it in a safe manner. So many of those microwaves went to the Meals on Wheels recipients.
What is the source of funds for those things? Because that's expensive programs.
So we received the formula grant that I mentioned earlier, the $120,000. So at the beginning of every fiscal year, or actually before the beginning of the fiscal years, we look at the funds, we go down and we choose the programs that were successful the year before, and then we also do is try to determine where else can we make an improvement, or where is it that the community might need assistance from. So we utilize the formula grant funds for these, and then market it that way. And every time I use the formula grant, I really make an effort to try to mention that in the newsletter so people understand where those funds are coming from. I mentioned already the Interage Alliance program with the youth engagement, so we'll move on from that. The Senior Citizen Day, it is in August, Wednesday, August 21st. One of the things that we're planning on doing for Senior Citizen Day, we've never recognized it, at least since I've been here. We are planning to purchase 200 gift certificates to Dean Park Pizza, and those will be given out on Senior Citizen Day to the first 200 Shrewsbury seniors. So Shrewsbury seniors, 60 and over, that come into the center. And it's basically a recognition of us, of them, and a way for us to give back. And why did we choose Dean Park Pizza? Why did we choose food? With the food insecurity that we've been facing, and we wanted to be able to support one of our local businesses. Any questions on that?
Yeah, the certificate in what amount?
$10. May was Mental Health Month. What we did was we had our first ever bake sale at the senior center, and what we did was we supported Shrewsbury Youth and Family Services with those funds. We raised $430, which will go directly to the Shrewsbury Youth and Family Services. Just showing the importance of mental health and really how we value our partners in Shrewsbury and the things that they do, and how they're a valuable resource to our resources and our mission and things like that. So we hope to continue to do simple things like that moving forward.
I just have to give an aside on that. I did just made something for the bake sale and put it on a dish, and the woman that purchased the baked goods returned the dish with a lovely note saying it was absolutely delicious. Thank you so much.
I'll concur with that product. It's very good.
Return the
Way
dish,
too
so you
good.
used a glass dish, or a container?
Yeah.
For somebody? Wow.
Well, it was just, nothing special, but
Yeah.
I didn't want to just bring it wrapped up in tin foil, so.
That's great.
I was going to ask who did the baking.
A little bit of everybody. So
very
we
good.
really there was so much contribution from a lot of people. A lot of our senior volunteer receptionists. They love to engage. They love to help us volunteer there. The Board of Health was great in supporting us in making sure that we had all the fine lines and documents and everything that we needed. And to follow up with that, because it was so successful, Casey being the lead on the Dementia-Friendly Task Force and the Alzheimer's awareness, last year we did a walk. We're going to do a bake sale for the Alzheimer's and hope that we can raise those funds. And if we raise, so last year we raised just over $1,700, and our goal for this year is $5,000. And what we're planning on doing is if we raise the $5,000, we're going to let the two select, they don't know this yet, so the two select board members who are on the Dementia-Friendly Task Force smash Casey and I in the face with a pie. So bring your money. At the bake sale.
Yep.
Yep. So bring your money.
Wow.
Yep.
I have one comment.
Yeah.
So, this bake sale reminds me of something that my daughter actually was part of cooking class in high school. In Shrewsbury High School, they have cooking classes also. And you're also looking for programs for the Yahoo also and outreach. And I'm wondering if we could somehow connect these 3 dots, Yahoo cooking classes and all, and engage them in this like Alzheimer outreach awareness that the school students do that would spread much faster.
Right.
Yeah,
So I would suggest highly that your daughter come on June 25th at our first meeting to bring those kind of ideas. Anybody that comes, I do want to mention, any of the students that come to this meeting, they're not going to be expected to take a position on the board if they don't want to. What we're trying to do, what I've seen in the past, town meeting again showed it, is when I look into the audience, there's very few younger people engaged in the things that we do. So we thought that getting them in early, getting them on the fun part of this would be a great way to educate them and their friends. So really, I would suggest she come on June 25th. We're gonna order some food. We're going to kind of talk about our expectations and then see where the conversation goes from the students. We're really hoping that this is building. So my thought is have her bring a friend, have her bring a couple of friends, okay?
I can tell. I mean, she's not in cooking class anymore, but it just the idea popped. Like,
Yeah.
we can use their cooking classes in the high school.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we're looking for, so that would be perfect. Thank you. Moving on to nutrition, so Meals on Wheels nutrition manager. We do have a new nutrition manager. Her name is Tara Hurd. She is from Elder Services of Worcester. She is very pleasant. She's very nice. She's very approachable. If you have an opportunity, if you're ever at the senior center, please go over and introduce yourself. She's typically there Monday through Friday, 8 to 1. And she kind of goes over, she's responsible for making sure the Meals on Wheels are out on time, that the volunteers have their schedules, as well as operating the congregate lunches out of the senior center. FY25 Tuesday dinners. So for the board members that remember, in FY24, for the month of January, we provided Tuesday dinners through Assabet Vocational High School, and they were a huge success. They were free for that. For this one, for FY25, it will be every Tuesday that we're open except for July 2nd. It will be a meal provided by Sirloin Catering in Northborough. The meals themselves are roughly about $12. We are asking for a $5 donation, and you can sign up for one or as many as meals that are listed as you want. You do have to come into the senior center. We can't take reservations over the phone because of the $5. The $5 are non-refundable. For reasons previously mentioned about transportation. And what we're hoping to do is, and the reason why it's on Tuesday evenings is because that's the evening that we're open until 6:30. We are making them from 4 to 5, and the reason why we made it a little bit earlier is so people can use our transportation, be able to get there and get home by using either the WRTA buses or the COA buses. Right now, we're scheduling for the WRTA. But we're hoping that because we're providing a inexpensive opportunity for people to come and have a meal, it's one more step closer to the food insecurity and the social impact that we were trying to fight for Shrewsbury. Any questions on that?
Is the formula grant subsidizing?
Yes, so the amount with the $5 ends up being $7,500, I believe, that we'll be using out of the formula grant. And last but not least, as Renee mentioned, just to reiterate something, the food pantry expansion, we were gifted the $20,000 from Massachusetts Council on Aging for a grant. As Renee mentioned, we're anxiously awaiting for the cabinets and cupboards to be installed this month, at which time we have already purchased, with the grant money as well as formula grant money, some food items, some non-perishable food items to get us started. We did order roughly 1,000 meals from Heart to Home Meals in Marlboro. Those are the frozen meals that we keep in our freezer. We did choose low sodium, gluten, some gluten-free meals, diabetic meals, so they'll be able to be consumed by anybody. As well as I mentioned, I also just utilized about $600 of the formula grant to purchase those non-perishable items to stock our refrigerator. And Renee has also been diligently working with outside resources so we can provide the fresh fruits and vegetables. And once we have a clear understanding of how the policies will be, we'll have a better understanding of when those fruits and vegetables will be delivered and available and things like that.
So how will people get those? They can show up, or do they
It'll
call
be by appointment,
by appointment?
senior center. And people will be able to come twice a month so that we can, serve the most amount of people we can as things are available. And also, twice a month is just about an amount of time that can help hold people over for a bit, so.
And Renee, are you going to be overseeing that, or will there be someone allocated to do that? Because that's going to take a chunk of time.
Yeah, well, we'll have a volunteer at least,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, the plan is for FY '25, once we get it really established and understand where we're going with this, we plan on having a senior tax work-off volunteer be part of that runs that, as well as any other volunteers that would come forward. All of the staff by the end of this month will be trained in food handling with a certificate that we're all taking. That's part of this whole expansion part 2. And again, as we're going through this process and seeing the needs and where they're all coming from, is how we'll adapt the policies and procedures going forward, and making sure at the same time we're incorporating the assistance of the town manager's office, as well as Michelle Conlon in why is his name escaping me?
Carlos?
Carlos has been super active as far as helping the town, as well as the other select board members, fight food insecurity. So we've been working in the last year, kind of sharing resources and updates about how we're gonna move forward. So we know that we have the support from the town manager's office, so we're very confident that this is going to be very productive.
Will there be a variety of foods, any cultural variety of foods?
So our food pantry is going to consist of donations, so it is going to rely on what donations that we get.
But we can also have wish lists as well.
Are you able to access the Worcester County Food Bank for any needs that you may have?
Unfortunately, no, we had meetings with them, and because we're not open to all people, including people under age 60, they're not able to support us.
That's too bad.
Yeah, the town is working on alternatives though for that, as they are aware of that one obstacle for us. And so just so people understand too, the Worcester County Food Bank, in most communities, they don't supply to more than 2 places at once. So right now, they assist St. Anne's Food Pantry. So we're trying to make sure that the next location that we choose will be accessible to all. That's why we could have worked with them, but again, taking that opportunity away from the rest of the town, we didn't want to do that. So the town managers, the human leadership team, and the select board members, again, have been working to try to figure out a way, and there's no further update at this time.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else from the director?
Can I throw just one thing in here under programs? So on June 24th, it's a Monday at 2:30. I would encourage everyone who's interested to attend. We have a program being put on by Orchard Grove. that is called A Walk in Their Shoes, and it's kind of a dementia simulation. So with Shrewsbury becoming dementia friendly and signing the pledge, we're trying to get a lot of education out to the community. So I'd really recommend, it should be a very interesting experience. And it's kind of a simulation so that you can see the physical kind of limitations that folks who have dementia may be facing that you may not realize that they're facing. So, and it's open to the public. I would certainly encourage all board members to attend as well. I would like to attend, so yeah. And we'll have more coming in the fall as well. I know one of the things that I got as feedback from the Dementia Friendly Action Team is that those who have kids, it's really hard to do anything in the summer. So we will have some more opportunities for things like this in the fall as well.
Casey, what are
Yes.
the hours again?
It is at 2:30 p.m. I believe it's an hour long. And it'll be at the senior center in side room B. That was my only thing.
Okay. Any old business or new business?
I just had one question. When I was looking, when you were going through the total financials, and you mentioned like the periodicals subscription is $0. So do we not receive any like newspapers, any magazines that seniors might be interested in reading when they come here?
Yeah, no, that, what that would cover is the creation of those or the mailing of those. We do periodically get some things from outside vendors and things like that, but really we try to go paperless and try to really support the online options. We don't receive much. We receive the Community Advocate in the newspaper bundles. We probably receive maybe 50 or 100 of them bi-weekly or whatever they come out, but that doesn't really fall under us. I'm not even sure what department that might fall on. Maybe the library would probably have something
Library's
like
got a
that.
tremendous room for periodicals.
I mean, would it make sense to have some at least available here also, since so much senior population comes? And especially like there could be magazines that are catering to their needs more, for their age.
But again, we wouldn't purchase them. We would expect any of those resources that do provide those reading materials to send them to us for free. When you see that line item on the Munis, that's for that would be for creating or purchasing things, and we don't do that at the senior center. A lot of the materials that people come in really are mainly looking for phone numbers, brochures, and things of that sort, not really reading materials. And then we do have our book library that does get utilized, but to be honest, I can't even think of any resources up at the top of my head, other than maybe AARP, and you have to pay for that as a subscription, which I suggest everybody does, because you can get invaluable coupons and deals on that. But again, those are subscription only.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Yep.
I just have one question on the grant, the Health Connection grant, which did not get accepted. Is there an awareness of what happened and why? And you said that there might be, and you would reapply for the grant again. Do we know why it was not accepted?
So what we find is when we apply for like national grants, such as that one, the competition between submissions is just overwhelming, and that's pretty much the response that we get, is that, we're not just going against people in Massachusetts as we do with the Massachusetts Council on Aging grant or anything like that, but it's more of a national thing, and I don't know, I can't think of any other reason other than, maybe our initiatives are a little bit smaller, whereas some of the people that apply for those grants are more of like a community,
You don't
purpose.
get any feedback as to why the grant was not accepted?
No. Normally, we just get how many people applied and sorry, try again next year type
Okay.
of thing.
They don't have that kind of time to respond to hundreds of people.
Yeah. But I will tell you that the Council on Aging Department, my staff, we don't leave any grant unturned. So we try to apply for all of them. Anyone that comes across our desk, we take the time, we look at it. So, and if anybody ever sees one, we're happy to take a look. There's a lot of them out there, but not all of them, again, the competition is big, but not all of them, at the end of the day, also pertain to us.
Right.
One other item, the Massachusetts Council on Aging fall programs, October 23rd to 25th. Will board members be able to attend that
Yes.
also this year?
Yep.
And
Yep.
it's in Falmouth.
So that'll be in the August board update.
Okay, great, but just to be planning ahead.
Yep.
Okay, anything else? Again, welcome to our 2 new members,
Thank you.
and a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.